My brothers and sisters, welcome to episode number 16 in the book of Deuteronomy. Today is about responding to the five commandments. Again, today we're only going to do five commandments. Phew. I'd be completely obedient and successful if all I had to deal with of the 10 commandments were just five. Then I'd get them right. I'm joking. So we made the argument yesterday that maybe if we only had to do five of the 10 commandments, would we have right standing before God? Conclusion from yesterday was all of us stand before all of the 10 commandments. But for today, again, let's give you some options. Let's pick five and maybe the second set of five. Which of the five are you interested in following? Then you'd have some success. So here they are. This is from Deuteronomy chapter 5. So I'm going to start in verse 17, which picks up with the sixth commandment. You shall not murder. And you shall not commit adultery. And you shall not steal. Number 8. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. And then the 10th commandment, you shall not covet your neighbor's wife, and you shall not desire your neighbor's house, his field, his male servant, his female servant, his ox, his donkey, or anything else that is your neighbor's. So today we get to do murder, violence, adultery, and taking from someone something that is only for their spouse. So adultery is giving to another a part of your zipper that is pledged to be given only to your spouse. So the point here is that the second definition is taking from someone else's spouse that which is only for your spouse. So those are the two definitions of adultery. So God has something to say about sexual purity here. He also has something to say about stealing, which by extension has to do with work and ownership and property rights and boundaries. He has something to say about false witness, which is lying, and particularly when the stakes are high. I mean, aren't the stakes always high? And then this coveting. So it's coveting another person's wife as opposed to just adultery. So there are qualities, apparently, besides her zipper that are desired to the extent that God is displaced in that new and inappropriate relationship. And that's to say nothing of the house or land or employees or car or anything else that you would spy as you peeked over the neighborhood fence. So as Jesus is described, opening up a can of worms, and we have these five commandments here today, the second of the 10 commandments. And then Jesus in the New Testament, as if this wasn't enough, he dials up the five commandments. He turbos the five commandments. So he says, this is in Matthew chapter 5, he doesn't come to abolish the law, but to fulfill them. So he says, not a dot of this is ever going to pass away. So he doesn't come to relax the law, but to tighten it, to tighten the screws, to make it more difficult. Here he goes in Matthew 5:21. You've heard it said here in Deuteronomy and as well as the book of Exodus, you've heard it said to those of old, the Old Testament, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you, so he declares himself as authoritative here, but I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council. It's like, wait a minute. We now don't have to go at somebody with a knife, but only your words or even your thoughts, violence of hand, violence of heart, and now violence of words. Oh, whatever. And he says, this is so grievous. Jesus says that this is so grievous that if you do this wrong, if you do this commandment and the whole thing that this commandment entails, if you do it wrong, you're liable to the hell of fire. His words, not mine. And then with adultery, he says in verse 27, you have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you that everyone who looks at a woman with lustful intent has already committed adultery with her in his heart. It's like, wait a minute, now you don't have to go at somebody with your zipper, but only your eyes? So, here's the bad news today, is we live in the land of more than the 10 commandments. Now, here's my favorite part about this. So now that you're all burdened and everything, listen to what the Israelites do. Verse 22, back to Deuteronomy chapter 5. These words that the Lord spoke to all your assembly at the mountain, out of the midst of the fire and the cloud in the thick darkness with a loud voice, and he added no more. And he wrote them on 2 tablets of stone and gave them to me, Moses. And as soon as you heard the voice out of the midst of the darkness, while the mountain was burning with fire, you came near to me, all the heads of your tribes and your elders, and you said, Behold, the Lord has shown us his glory and his greatness, and we have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. This day we have seen, God will speak with man, and man shall live. They're so sobered. Verse 25. And now, therefore, why should we die? For this great fire will consume us. If we hear the voice of the Lord our God any more, we shall die. For who is there of all flesh that has heard the voice of the living God speaking out of the midst of the fire as we have, and still lived? Go near and hear all that the Lord our God will say, and speak to us all that the Lord our God will speak to you, and we will hear it, and we will do it. So I love how they respond. When you hear the voice, you came near. You recognize, these guys recognize the presence and the glory of the Lord. They recognize his voice and his protection and all the things of these commandments. And he says, the Lord has shown us his glory by speaking to us these commandments. The Lord has shown us his glory and his greatness. We have heard his voice out of the midst of the fire. We hear God in the evidence of his instructions. And look, we're not consumed. How did this happen? We are let in on his truths and his secrets, and the revelation has not killed us. As it should, and we're still here. So we have come near, and we hear all that the Lord has, and they pledge, we will hear it, we will do it. And oh, could that be our first response? Lord, you are near. Lord, we hear you, we see you, we are in awe before you. You should be melting us right now. But somehow only our hearts are melted before you. We wish to draw near to you as you have to us. So speak to us all that you have for us. We'll hear it and we will do it this hour. We will hear it and do it this day. May our response to murder, adultery, stealing, lying, coveting be at least half as good as our Israelite brothers and sisters. Thank you for listening.